Good afternoon, or good morning, good evening, depending on where you're watching it across the globe. This is the match reaction to the Palace women's unfortunate defeat 2-1 at home to Southampton. I'm here with my co-host, as per usual, when it comes to women's football, Maria.
Hello.
Good. You know what? I think let's start with the game first, and then we'll talk about attendance, because attendance for and such, and those little nuances. It was a crazy one because obviously I told you earlier on before the game was going on that I may even be a little bit late to church. But I managed to literally get in on time. There was a queue to get into the stands as well. Yeah. And then I think by the time I've settled, like I've looked up with Southampton on the attack.
Oh no.
Pretty much early. And the ball played down the right hand side far too easily. And then it was cut into the middle of the box and Southampton score. Now I'm like, oh man. And obviously I've got Nyla on my lap and it was playing to Nyla, we're losing 1-0. And I look up, I'm like, wait. Hold on. Is that Lexi? And stuff. And then it wasn't until like the announcement was made of like the goal scorer that it was confirmed. Now, it's a bit of context. I did tweet this out yesterday. I used to actually coach Lexi years ago. I think when she was like 13, 14 years old and stuff. And I know a younger brother as well who was a decent player and stuff. I was like, I can't believe it. Number one, I didn't realize she had signed for Southampton and stuff. And number two was like, trust it to be, of all people, someone I know.
I mean, we fully blame you for that. Obviously, your coaching was just too good.
A little bit of it was too good. So, and that was within 5 minutes.
It was very quick.
Yeah, it kind of set the precedent afterwards because then Southampton literally part of us. Now, credit to them, they defended very well and they counterattacked with pace. And it was like, in that first half, I was thinking, yeah, they could have got 3 or 4 here, you know.
Yeah, it was looking that way. It was
just so disappointing because we literally struggled so badly to break them down and stuff. So credit to the defensive side, but I think for us, I don't think we were playing quick enough or direct as such. What was your thoughts of the initial stages?
You know, it was really frustrating. I think the best word I can use, not just for the initial stages, for the whole match actually, was just frustration. It felt a little bit like Palace were caught in the headlights, like that they weren't expecting that to happen at that stage because it was very quick. And that was Southampton's first win of the season. So I think a lot of people, if you've been following the Championship, just assumed that Palace would walk all over them. And I think that's what Palace thought as well. And it's a shame because it was almost like once that goal went in, there was this period of struggle for a bit. And then they kind of found their way again, but they just couldn't break down Southampton. They were getting over there. They were getting to the goal, but it just wasn't working for them. Something wasn't working. I think there was a little bit of, I think that the players were frustrated and I think the occasion got to them. And that was annoying, to be honest, because it was a really big deal that they're playing at Selhurst Park. There was a big crowd. And I just felt like there was a bit of sloppiness here and there, a lack of concentration. I'm not sure what you thought. There was just times where I wondered what on earth they were doing. There were passes kind of just going nowhere, or the ball just seemed to be languishing by itself, and there was no one kind of going for it. And it was quite frustrating. And I think, was it the first goal where it was the keeper, really? She kind of literally took her eye off the ball on that one. Or it might have been the second one, actually. But yeah, it was a very frustrating match. And I just think they had a bad game. It was just one of those days for them where it just went wrong. And it was frustrating because it was the wrong day for it to go wrong.
Yeah. And I think just referring to like the keeper taking the eye off the ball, I think that was more so this. Yeah, it was the second goal, and that came off. That was literally straight after half time. But before that, we actually equalised. Now,
yes,
as you do when you have a young child, you want to go and make sure that they use the bathroom at a good time. And I'm thinking, it's probably half time now. So we.
Oh, did you miss it?
I missed the goal. I took Nyla to the bathroom.
I didn't realise.
Literally came out the bathroom and all I heard was, yeah. I'm like, it's scored.
Were you like, maybe it's offside again?
We did have a decimal goal, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, we did have an offside, yeah. Oh, no, I didn't realise you missed it.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, just before half time.
Literally, I ran up the stairs with her and we managed to catch the replay on the screen, and obviously Cole Hayes has tapped it home. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, look, we've found it hard to break them down, but now we're level. Hopefully we'll build on from this.
That's what I thought. I thought they were going to do a Palace. This is the moment. I was like, I turned around and I was like, it's fine. Second half, 2 more are going to go in. I was like, that's it. They've broken them now. They've equalised. They're on home ground. Second half, we're running. But to be.
Another conceded goal in the beginning of the second half time. And it was just a catalogue of errors.
Yeah.
The balls bouncing around in the box, not clearing it well.
And it was scrappy, wasn't it?
Oh, scrappy. But then a moment of brilliance from let's say, because obviously I've just seen, from where we were sitting, I've just seen her take a shot. But I didn't realise the bit of footwork she did beforehand until I saw the replay after the game and stuff. I was like, yeah, that's actually a very good goal. That's a very good goal. From their point, a terrible goal to concede from our point. And we're very, I think it's a very Crystal Palace thing to break streaks. So the men do it too. Like, Brentford may not have scored a goal in so many games. There you go. Here's a goal for you.
Yeah.
I've had to win a game in however long. Don't worry. Here you go. The gift that keeps on giving. Nate normally says charity professional football club.
Oh, I was so disappointed because I really thought it was funny because I was talking to James and he was saying how it was just the men's team at the moment who aren't doing well. So the under 21s doing great, under 18s, I believe, the other day, also doing really well. Women were top of the league. Oh, and then it just all went wrong at Selhurst Park.
It did.
It went wrong.
It was literally after Southampton scored the second, it was attack versus defence.
Yeah, it was.
Through the whole half. And obviously a few scares on the counter-attack, but it was like bombardment. Now, I said this to you yesterday, obviously, during the game. I personally think Elise Hughes should be starting more games. I felt we were a lot more direct.
Yeah.
When she came on, and she was definitely causing problems, getting us off about and such. Why do you think? And obviously, we're not questioning the coaches; we're not questioning Dean. Why do you think it took so long to bring her on?
I'm not sure. I did wonder. Our subs it made no sense why he waited that long at all, and I just wondered whether it was that I thought it might have been because it was more, like I was saying, it was almost like they were caught in the headlights a little bit. And I wondered whether he was just trying to give them a chance to find their feet without disrupting what was already happened, like the team in that sense, or you know, ruining the balance. I know it was unbalanced anyway because they weren't doing well, but I think it was more trying to give them a chance to just find their feet and get things going. But I think it was the wrong decision ultimately. I think you should have made changes a lot quicker in order to respond to what was going on, because we could see there was struggle. They were struggling. They weren't getting it right. As you said, there was loads of errors. So it needed to happen sooner. And I think hopefully going forward from this game, that those changes will come quicker if we have that kind of situation again. The thing is, I don't think that will happen. I think the next game, they're going to be fine. But yeah, as I honestly, I don't think it was necessarily anything to do with the team or the squad in that sense. I really think it was more to do with the occasion. And I don't know. It was that thing where it happens with any team, be it Palace, be it any Premier League team. That we build stuff up and we think, you know, we're guaranteed to win, and it goes wrong. It's almost like a little bit of arrogance in the background. It's going to happen, and it doesn't. And I think that can cause a bit of complacency. But yeah, in terms of the subbing, I think he was just trying to get them to find their feet and get on with it. But it waited too long, because actually if she'd have come on, if she'd have started, then I think little weaknesses here and there may have not been quite as apparent.
No, absolutely. I mean, look, I think we'll just chalk this down as one of those games. You know, because effectively we dominated the game.
Yeah. 100%. That was why it was frustrating.
Yeah. We dominated possession, especially. We just didn't create as much clear-cut chances until the end, towards the end, like, because obviously they're thinking, oh, we need to hold on to this and such.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be something to work on in the final third. Maybe can we move the ball a bit quicker? Because everything up to that was pretty much decent. And also just look at defensive shape as well, because like I said.
I have to say, though, I did worry in that 90th minute or whatever it was, 92nd minute. It did look like, I was like, no. It really looked like Southampton were going to score again. And it would, that, to be honest, I would have just left straight away. I mean, I left anyway, obviously, but I would have just been like, no, I'm off. Bye.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was a few. I mean, Hughes hit the post. I don't know who it was.
Oh my God, that one was so close. It was literally like a millimeter.
Yeah.
It just, if there was just some way of it blowing in. It literally, there were so many of those moments, you know, where you're like,
it's like,
I think, I've got handprints on the side of my head from doing that yesterday.
I believe, I don't know if it was Molly Sharp or Kirsty Barton, that they took a corner which got headed off the line.
Yes.
Or later on, I think Southampton hit the crossbar from a free kick.
Yes, that was another one. Yeah.
There were a few like near misses for both sides.
Yeah.
Which obviously, but look, at the end of the day, unfortunately, we fell to a 2-1 defeat. But you know what was incredible, and this is what I was most happy about.
Yeah.
The attendance. Now, I thought, looking around, I was like, there's about 1,000 here. That's really good. When I heard how much it actually was, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
1,856 or something along those lines.
I think the fact that they were selling tickets on the day as well I'm really glad they did that, because I think they got a lot of last minute people coming along.
Yeah.
Because I know the day before they'd said there was 1,600 expected. So they obviously got a few more along on the day. And when I looked in the morning just to have a look, or the night before to have a look at how many, you know, where you can have a look at what's sold, you can see what seats are taken and what wasn't. And I was a little bit concerned because I was like, some of the stands are looking a bit empty. Some of the blocks were looking empty. But I don't know what you thought. Looking around, it felt pretty full. It felt good.
It really did. And that was even when I got there. Like I said, I got there just after kickoff and stuff. And,
yeah. And they did, do you know what? They actually, I have to give it to them. They did a really good job, because I mean, as you know, when I go to Palace men's games, I get there early and I go down to fan zone, and then I tend to go into the stadium quite early because I like to be there before. I like to see the team warm up, you know, look around, settle in, have a chat, all of that kind of stuff. It's all part of my match day. And yesterday I got there early.
Taking pictures of fellow fans just sitting there.
What's that?
Taking pictures of fellow fans just sitting there.
Making people famous.
Making
people famous.
Legendary Maria.
Responsible for that. It's a really good. I've got such a good zoom on my phone camera. It's amazing.
It's such a good meme, though. I can't believe my concentration face looks like I'm so angry. Because a lot of people asked me since then, was this after the game? I was like, no, it was before. Why are you so angry? I'm not. I'm just concentrating.
Just sitting. But yeah, so obviously normally I get there really early, and I did get there really early today. Yesterday, not today. I'm obviously very confused today. And went into the fan zone, and I thought they did such a good job in there. There was loads going on. There was just families, people actually just having a really good time and having fun. And I got a seat for the first time. Normally you can't really get onto the benches to sit down, but because I was there so early, I managed to sit down, had something to eat, had a drink, and everyone was just chatting. People were just talking. People, you know, it was great. And actually, I completely lost track of time because there was so much going on. There was the kids doing the keepy uppies on the stage. There were the mascots. There was all the usual stuff. The penalties in the corner, and all of that kind of thing. And before I knew it, it was 12:15, and I just thought, oh my God, the match starts in 15 minutes. And then when we got round the corner, because everyone was having such a great time, and I think there was a lot of people there where it was the first time they'd been to a match. We were queuing to get in. So I was just like, whoa, hang on a minute. This isn't like me to be queuing 10 minutes before the match to get in. But, you know, we got in, and there was something quite nice about the fact that there was people there who'd not been before. There was lots of families, loads of kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, there was a little bit of people looking for their seats, not sure where to go, and that. But I thought the stewards did a great job. And it was just a great atmosphere, happy. And it felt safe, you know, secure, good to be with kids and not hearing all the swearing and all the, you know, the stuff that we hear week in, week out, which, you know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. We know why that happens, and people's passions, and people get passionate and so on. But there's something quite refreshing about women's games. And it happened yesterday at Selhurst Park, and it was amazing. And it was great to have. I'm one of those people, I like to kind of observe and see how people react and respond to things. And behind me, there was a couple of, you know, people went along with groups of families that had gone together. And I'll tell you what, just on a complete side note, if this doesn't show how this kind of match can bring in money, then I don't know what will, because there was merchandise, there was queues in the shop, there were people buying, there was so much food being bought both in the fan zone and in the stand as well. So, you know, I really hope that will give, I know it's cynical, but that will give the kind of the board, the owners and so on, a little bit of hope to get them thinking more about putting the matches on at Selhurst, or perhaps improving what happens at Hayes Lane, because it's a bit different there. You don't get any of that really there. But it was great listening to people in the stands, and I tweeted out about it this morning. But behind me there was a dad explaining to his little girl what the offside rule was, because he, you know, where we all kind of got excited where we thought there was a goal and then it was offside. Yeah. So the little girl was still cheering. And he was like, no, it's not a goal. And she said, but it went in. And he said, no, so it's offside. And he was explaining it to her. And then in the end, he said to her, look, when we get home, I'll draw it to you. He's going to explain it when they get home, which was really sweet. And then there was a mum a bit further along, and she was, there was like the linesman was in front of us with the flag. And the kid said something about, I didn't know referees had flags or something like that. And she said, oh, no, that's not a referee, that's a linesman. And again, it was this kind of, I don't know if that happens as much at a men's game, because people get so caught up in it, and the crowd and the noise, and I'm not saying there wasn't noise, of course there was noise, but I think that it's just an environment where a lot more can happen, where you're almost like nurturing future fans. And that kind of thing is really nice, because they're seeing an environment where people are chatty, people are less aggressive and are calmer, but they're still enjoying it, and all the excitement's there. In front of me, there was a woman who, it sounds like all I did was like eavesdrop on people, but she was there, and she was saying she'd never been to a match before. And then, towards the end, where there was a scrabble to try and get a goal, she was literally going, oh, this is so frustrating. Oh, this is too much, because she was just got caught up in it. So, I think it just shows another side to football. You can still have the passion and the frustration and the that excitement of football, but it can happen without some of the negative stuff that we hear and we see in football as well. And that's I think that just shows this kind of magical ability of women's football. And it is also a lot more inclusive. I think people feel more comfortable going to a women's match, people of all walks of life and whatever, than going maybe to a men's match. There was a lot of older people as well yesterday. I spoke to a lady who said she hadn't been to a match in 30 years, but had come along for this. So it shows women's football does something that's different to the men's game. And I think the men's game can learn a lot from it. And I'm not saying the men's game needs to change to be like the women's game, but I think there's things that we can learn from it. And that was really, really, it was really heartwarming for me. I loved that. And, as much as, even though they lost, it's a shame. But to be honest, the families and the kids that were there, I don't think it mattered. They just had a great time.
They did, and it's
and
funny.
They got to meet the players at the end and at the beginning.
That's the bit that's really good about it. Because, I mean, even before that, you said that a child thought that they had scored when they hadn't. Nala was the same. It's like, oh, we've got two now. I was like, no, sweetheart. One of them wasn't allowed and stuff. And even just the aspect of having a mixture of Saints fans and Palace fans, like there was like no trouble and stuff. Everyone was really respectful. Now, not advocating for that in the men's game, because I know
it won't work in the men's.
Oh wow, that's rough. But it was nice, and like I was speaking to Lexi's mum at half time, just seeing how she's doing, how her younger brother's doing and stuff. It was nice to meet some of her family members and stuff, and it's just that nice nurturing environment.
Yeah, and there's like a mutual respect between the fans as well. So the Southampton fans did their one chant.
That's a low blow.
That's so true. I'm sorry. I have seen Southampton several times. And if I hear that Saints come marching in one more time, how many they just sing it at different speeds and with like different, it's just so annoying. It's like, please sing something else. Come up with a different song. Sorry, that wasn't good, was it? That wasn't nice. Anyway, they did start with that. But
Saints,
please, and they do it at different and then, or they do it as a, where they do a bit and then another group do a bit. So it's like, oh, when the Saints, and it's like, oh my god. I think actually it's probably quite clever just singing the same thing over and over again, because it must really get to the other team, to the opposition, hearing it constantly. But what I was going to say was having the mixed crowd. I think there's a lot of pros and cons for it, but like yesterday, and I noticed this at the Euros as well, there's more of you hear them and they might be behind you, and there's more of a little bit of a giggle, and then you're like, right, what can we do that's going to beat what they do? And that's kind of nice. It's not I want to go and beat them up. It's I just want to win with my singing and the noise that I make. So that was quite funny. It's a shame we didn't get Glad All Over yesterday. I know it's because of the national anthem and the Queen. The Queen's silence. Yeah. But I did kind of miss that. I thought, we didn't get a proper walkout. Yeah. But never mind.
The attendance, like I said. You mentioned about the financial side to it. And stuff. I want to also touch on another aspect as why it was important to have at Sellers Park. Accessibility.
Yeah.
You know, Hayes Lane. I mean, the game against Coventry United, we were like, oh, there's about 300 fans. This is good. Anyway, like,
It was good. Yeah, that was really good for Hayes Lane. Oh, amazing.
Because for those who don't know, Hayes Lane, if you're not driving, it's a nightmare to get to. Yeah. And then even if you're driving, it's the potluck, depending on parking and stuff as well. It's so touch and go, you know, and the traffic is murder because there's always some sort of roadworks.
Yeah, it's also not. So the game that we went to last was in the evening.
Yeah.
And Hayes Lane, if you're getting a bus or the train and walking, to actually get into the stadium or into the ground, there's a long dark lane that you have to walk down. And it was interesting because I was talking to a lady from the Palace Supporters Trust at the Hayes Lane game, and she was saying that for a while people have been saying something needs to be done about that, the dark sort of, I don't know, what is it? Well, there's like a farm there, isn't there? It's like a farm and whatever, and you have to just walk down this long lane, and it's dark, and it doesn't feel the safest route to be walking down if you've not got a car. So I think, as you were saying, you know, Selhurst Park, obviously the accessibility, it's on bus routes, you can park. Yesterday was great, obviously, because it wasn't a full stadium. You could park anywhere. I parked on Homesdale Road, which was brilliant, literally outside the entrance, and just walked in. Exactly. So there's the parking is there. Even on an ordinary match day, to be honest, you can park quite easily. And these are the sorts of things that are a problem for getting people to Bromley, because really Hayes Lane from Selhurst Park isn't that far. It's not like we're not talking another completely different city or anything, or it's not that far. It's not that far from the shops in Bromley, to be honest, but it is tucked away. You can't see it you can easily miss it. I think the first time I ever went there, I had no idea where it was, and kind of drove past and then drove back again to find it. And yeah, it's not an easy, I don't know how they can get everyone who's happy to go to Selhurst Park to happily go to Hayes Lane, to be honest. It is out the way. The facilities aren't all there. You can't have the full match day experience. And I know there's some people who would rather it stayed at Hayes Lane because they feel that it's, you know, it's its own ground and it's better for it works better. But yesterday, you know, we had the food, we had it felt like a match day. When you go to Hayes Lane, they don't have match day food. You have to go into the restaurant, which is great, but it's expensive. There's no merch on sale, which is crazy to me that there's never any merch, or that they can't even take something down to Hayes Lane to sell some shirts, or if it's not shirt, I don't know, something. Surely they can have like a little mobile shop or something. I don't know, take something, have a stand with something on it that you can buy. Yeah. So it takes away from the game. So I think getting people to go who went yesterday for the first time to Selhurst Park, some of them might go to Hayes Lane. That was another thing. I'll come on to that in a minute. They might go to Hayes Lane, but I think they'll be a bit disappointed at the fact that they're not getting the same experience. The mascots aren't there. And the mascots, I think, are amazing for children. There's no half-time, you know, goals, penalties and all that stuff. So that's missing from Hayes Lane. And something needs to be done if the games are going to continue to be there, because I'm not convinced we can grow it and grow support for Palace women if that's where they're going to be playing. And, you know, we talked about this a bit on the Women's Review show, where we said where the Euros kind of sold this dream to girls of being able to play in front of crowds. And, you know, they saw football as you see men's football week in, week out on the TV. And that's what they saw. They saw that kind of atmosphere, that kind of experience. And unfortunately, the true reality is that doesn't exist in women's football at club level. And yesterday, I'm sure there were children asking their parents why the rest of the stadium didn't have people in it. And then if those kids wanted to then go to the next Crystal Palace women's match, they're going to get a much different experience. It's not going to be the same. So
well, it might even be a case where, sorry, love, it's not in
we're
there.
not going.
Yeah.
And yesterday, massive chance mix. I missed. I couldn't understand why something wasn't given out or whatever with the next few fixtures on it, so people know when to come again, because it really did feel like a one-off. And I just thought, oh, come on, why have you not promoted more? What's going to happen? Where can we come and watch again? Because kids will want to go again.
Yeah.
But there was nothing. There was nothing. I don't know if I missed it, but I was in the fan zone. I was in the stand. Nothing was said. Nothing was given out or promoted for the next few fixtures. So, that 1,800, amazing. I'll be interested to see if any of that trickles down into Hayes Lane. To be honest, I think the turnout at the next Hayes Lane game will possibly be lower than the previous Hayes Lane game. I had a look at the turnout for attendance on the Super League games, and I think the highest attendance yesterday was City, possibly. Anyway, it was I think it was City, and they had something like 6,500 go to their game. So, we're 1,800 for Crystal Palace, I think is great.
Yeah,
but there's so much work to be done.
Yeah.
So much work to be done.
I mean, just looking at the fixtures, Palace next 2 are away. So away to Blackburn, away to Bristol City, home to Sunderland, and that's 12 o'clock kickoff. Then away to Bristol City women again, away to Durham. So 1 home game in 5.
Yeah. And again, there was nothing to tell us where we can watch it. Where can we watch these away games then? Tell us, give us some information. How can we watch? How can we get behind the team?
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. And I thought that was just a big missed opportunity.
Yeah. I'm assuming it'll be the FA player, but it's just a waiting game, really.
Yeah. I mean, there should be more games at Selhurst Park. I think some of the cup games will be there, but we'll see.
I mean, seeing that the next home game's in like 3 or so weeks, plus Palace men are away to Leicester the day before. If the under-21s are not using the ground, then hopefully they might just say, yeah, you're not using it.
Yeah, maybe they'll think, you know what, it was all right yesterday.
When is Wolves? Wolves is a Tuesday after.
Yeah, they won't play a women's game on the Sunday if there's men playing on Tuesday. Yeah, so it won't be. But I do hope, obviously, I've no idea what. I know when they open the big state, when they open the stadium on days like that, they're not making a profit. But I hope that it shows that there's something there. And there's so much more they can do. I still think there's a lot more they can do. So hopefully it will build up and people are watching. My cousin came again yesterday. She came with me to the away game, the first one. And she was asking me, like, when's the next one? So, we're making, I think when people are introduced to it, they're quite happy to go. It's exciting. It's good football. It's exciting football. And I know, the funny thing is, how women's games have been criticised for, there's loads of goals because they're not good enough and all this nonsense. It's been interesting to see how there hasn't been those kind of games yet, really. I think there was one, but generally there haven't really been any of these kind of 9-0s and whatever, but they're happening in the Premier League and they're being applauded for it. So what does think you can't win?
And if you do, if you don't.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, guys, I don't know if there's anything more to discuss. We lost, unfortunately.
Yeah, we lost. That's what we lost.
Yeah, we lost. But I'm sure the ladies, they're going to be up for it. 2 huge games coming away. Yeah. Blackburn and Bristol City.
Wins from now on. It's going to be wins all the way.
Let's believe that it'll be wins, because they're not easy games at all. I think the Championship's so much stronger this year as well.
Yes, it is. It is.
So very, very interesting. But apart from that, guys, it's been a pleasure. Where can they find you? So it's not here now with us no more. Where can they find you on your platform?
Oh, I'm on the Women's Football Review. So please come along. We want to take everyone who was watching us before, come over to our new channel. Women's Football Review, and you can find us on Twitter as well. You can, if you go to my Twitter, you can find the link pinned to the top of my profile.
Lovely. And you obviously can find me on Eagle Eyed Football on YouTube, Twitter as well, mainly. Instagram's there, but it's like you never remember to post something.
Yeah.
So no, thank you. That was the match reaction. Obviously, disappointing defeat. But, move on to the next one, and 3 points against Blackburn.
Yes, we move.
All right. Take care, everyone. Peace.
Bye.